I'm outside with Terrestrial, former and Optional Circus. Why was with the name change?
Well, it was just easier to remember if we changed it to just one word. In Optional Circus, a lot of people would only remember circus. They'd be like, oh, you're that circus band. And very few people actually remembered the name or understood what it suggested. So it was just easier to change the band name to just one word that was, very like global and universal.
Yeah. Because I noticed too. So I noticed too, you like rework some of the songs too to go better with the name. Yep. Was it difficult trying to change your songs around a little bit?
Not really. That kind of just happened organically. Like we just kind of evolved as a band. Yeah. We felt a name change was appropriate too, because the band was called an Optional Circus when we had different members, actually, like a different drummer, different bass player, different singer. So after the first album, we found we were going in a much different direction, much darker, much heavier. So it seemed like an appropriate time to change the name.
Now, you guys planning on playing any festivals or any other shows outside of Kingston this summer?
Yeah, that's actually what we're looking at right now. Is we're booked for July 20th in Barrie at the Port, and we're going to do an Ottawa date in August, a Trenton date in September, and so on and so forth. Every month we'll play a different city. Yeah, because we're going to try and limit our local activity.
That's the problem too. Kingston's so small, like you can only see the same band so many times before.
And it's more of an event if you only play every once in a while.
Yeah. It's difficult coming up with new material too for every show you play. So just the fans don't get bored of seeing the same set, and then they don't contemplate on going to your show because they've already seen it a couple times before.
Well, we have a decent catalog now. Yeah. And our band has two kind of different styles. Like we have the darker, heavier kind of hypnotic songs, and we have much lighter indie rock kind of songs as well.
More
so
chill.
We can, yeah, definitely. So we can kind of gauge the audience and the bands we're playing with and decide which set lists we can play, because we have a good amount of songs now that we can be very selective.
I'd say we have probably a good at least couple albums worth of material right now that's kind of unreleased.
Yeah. We're always coming up with new material each show. I mean, we have another new song to showcase at the next show, so there's always a new song every show. So.
And Matt does a lot of like horror movie covers and stuff like that we can just throw into the set just to break things up and give everybody kind of a rest in between songs.
Yeah, Terminator cover was pretty funny.
Yes, people seem to really respond to that, actually.
Yeah, there's a good crowd response for that one. Yeah. And it's fun to play.
It is fun to play.
Because I remember you started playing, I'm like, oh, they're just killing some time or something, and then it kept going. I was like, nice.
Yeah. You got to add your own flair to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, have you guys thought of other cover songs that you thought about would make an addition to the set list?
It actually hasn't really come up too much. Like, covering other bands, like, we have a lot of respect for the bands we enjoy. They do it right. We've got our own thing going, so...
People make suggestions, like you guys should cover Tool or Smashing Pumpkins, but we want to try to avoid anything that's too obvious, right?
Well, there's definitely clearly Tool in some of your songs. Like, there's no denying that one.
Nope.
It's a new member of our band, by the way, if you haven't met him.
Jack Barker.
You can add some backing tracks. Now, where do you think your band's going to be headed in the next couple months or even a year? Have you already thought about direction?
Not really. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
All that planned out. Blown up. Like it's in the last year we've seen such an improvement in the shows and the people attending and the performances. It's went from just being like the little baby opening band to being co-headliners, right?
Yeah.
So, so to just keep growing that, out of town is the number one thing we got to do. Like we have to get out of town. We can't just keep playing in Kingston. Once we do that, we'll see where it goes. Hopefully some festivals. Yeah. I know we're going to put in for the Wolf Island Music Festival when that comes up. And we've been putting in for like really big festivals, but those are kind of pay to play type
Oh,
deals.
right, yeah.
So I forget what the site's called, but you literally buy tokens and shit like that,
Yeah.
and then you put in and your Sonic bids, yeah, and then you're in with 300 bands and go from there. But
I think more or less we just want to keep doing what we're already doing right now and just keep evolving and just keep that sort of going, see what happens.
Now you guys already have the one EP out. How's that doing for you guys so far?
Well, we have two actually. Like
Okay.
the first one's under the moniker of an optional circus, but we still obviously own all of that music. It's our it's our property. But we have only released the one 4-song EP, Fickle Machine, under the name Terrestrial. And so far, I think we've actually only done like 4 shows as Terrestrial. But we've, like I said before, we've been very selective, and we're only going to play like good shows. We're not going to play to empty bars. We just aren't interested in doing that. Most bands aren't, but unfortunately, some of them just don't have a choice.
Yeah.
we're at the point now where we can be a little more selective, right? So take advantage of it. And we don't have egos by any means, and we don't have our head up our asses. But I mean, if we have a choice of going a couple months without a show and packing a venue, as opposed to some of the shows that we played that are just it's more exciting to sit at home.
Yeah.
It's
It's more disappointing when you just play an amazing show and nobody's there. It's just a wasted performance, right?
At least
Yeah.
somebody hears it. Like if you're lucky enough to get at least maybe the bartender, like a few regulars of the venue that happen to show up there. But
we're at the point now where we can avoid those kind of situations.
It's kind of like your first show as an optional circus, when that I was holding out, and then the first 2 or 3 bands was horrible, and that one guy came on. I was just like, no, sorry, Kurt, can't do it anymore.
What show was that? I remember you doing that.
Lounge night.
Indian Lounge.
That was the
was that
first
when-
show.
Sorry,
And
Faith.
it was
When
like
Robbie was on before you guys.
Yeah.
Josh didn't play that show with us. He had joined the band, but like a week before. So we played that show without a bassist, actually. And
First show was Ottawa, actually, wasn't it?
no,
No.
because we did
No,
the
no,
two
no.
dates. We did
Yeah.
Kingston the night before and Ottawa the following
Yeah.
night. No, those shows actually went really well.
I remember I held out for like 2 hours, and then that guy hopped on. I was like, no, I can't. No more.
Yeah.
No more.
I remember you saying that right before we got on stage. I really want to see you guys, but I just got to leave.
I think that marked the second time I've left because of bad performances.
And see, like, that's the thing. Like, we don't want to associate ourselves with those types of shows, right? Like, and it's tough to judge because a lot of those bands are touring bands, right? So you never know. They're
going to play 60s surfers music.
Yeah, but you hear the music, and it's like, it's almost like a shitty MIDI file online, and you're like, okay, well, they got to be better than this,
Wrong.
And they're not.
Yeah, wrong. Yeah, fuck yeah.
I like 60s surfer music.
I don't know, and it's kind of satisfying to blow the headliner off the stage every once in a while. It is.
Now, how does the writing work for the band since you've grown so much already?
Well, for the first EP, a lot of the songs I wrote before this band even really existed. And then for Fickle Machine, that was more of an organic kind of collective effort. Like In the Open Air started as a bass riff Josh had, and we all just kind of added to it. Then eventually we decided, well, this can't be a jam. It's really good, so let's structure it, make it an actual proper song. And yeah, it's more of a collective effort now. Whereas the first album was just, these are the songs that I wrote. This is how they go.
The first album, Josh and I came into just having to learn the music, kind of, that idea. But everything after that is
It was almost
it's together now. So yeah.
Because one person will maybe just come up with even a single note or a couple of notes, and then all of us just somehow intuitively know where the other is going to go with it, and we just take it and run with it, kind of. Some of the songs just seem to write themselves.
Yeah. Even tonight during our sound check before you arrived, when we were just kind of doing our EQ, we actually came up with something. It just started as me just playing a couple notes, and it just kind of evolved. And yeah, it was quite good.
Now, what does being Canadian musicians mean to you guys?
Nothing.
I'm very proud.
It's one of the things we argue about.
Fist fights. Yeah, it gets pretty hairy sometimes.
In a sense, I can sort of like really connect. Well, maybe not because I live here. I'm biased, but like I guess with the sort of atmosphere or the layout of, I don't know, Canadian cities. I don't know. Maybe it's not too much different than most North American cities, but I find, I don't know, just the visual of a city, or just like every blade of grass and a patch of curb grass, or like every lamppost or whatever, just sort of has an influence on my writing in some sort of way. I don't know.
Fucking cold.
We are products of our environment, right?
No, the Canadian scene's getting a lot better.
Yeah.
It is getting a lot better. It's not just, folk bands anymore and
Nickelback.
in Nickelback. There's it's definitely growing. So I mean, I don't so much see it as like Canadian American anymore. It just seems like one big scene now because the caliber of bands is so much better in Canada now.
With social networking sites as well, you don't really require like a local scene anymore, right? You can connect with bands who are similar and have similar influences and integrity without actually having to know them.
Yeah. Now, what you guys have lined up for another EP or another album? You have anything lined up, or you're just gonna kind of coast on the one you have out now?
Well, we started the creative process again. We have a couple ideas we're working on. I think we have about 4 or 5 songs finished right now that weren't featured on the last EP. So eventually we will record again.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of what approach we're going to take, because with the first album, that was the first EP that was completed live off the floor. It was just one afternoon we recorded the entire thing. And the second album wasn't even originally intended to be the EP. Like, we played a show at the Mansion and our set was recorded, and we took those original bed tracks and we uploaded them to our mixer, and we added more guitar and more vocals and released it because it sounded really good. So yeah,
That's actually where the name Fickle Machine came from. The mixer that we used is
quite fickle.
well, it's quite the fickle machine. We had a lot of technical problems with it and a few scares. We thought we actually lost some of the material that we recorded at one point.
Yeah, we had to stop mixing, like, because we were satisfied with it, but we were thinking, layer another track here and there. And Kurt phones me. It's like, we need to mix this down now because it shut off and it won't turn back on. And I lost everything and I just got it back, so we need to fucking stop this now and put this thing out.
For each song, we had 3 or 4 different mixes until we put it to a vote. And in most cases, we actually used the first mix for most of the songs.
But as far as like coming up, it's like just summer tour we're trying to organize right now and have 3 separate dates in 3 separate cities in Ontario, and just go from there.
Yeah.
Enjoy the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, get touring over for the winter time, record in the winter.
Yeah, you got it. Buckle down in your basement, right?
These bands that tour in the winter, it's insane. Yeah. Fuck that.
I don't even tour, but I still say fuck that.
No, I wouldn't do it.
The summer too, I think for me maybe has like quite an influence too on the creative process. Like I don't know, I'm a bit of a person who's like really kind of, my emotional state really reflects kind of the weather or the state of seasons. So in the summer I feel I'm most creative, but I don't know, I think things are looking pretty good in terms of like new material and stuff. There's a lot of atmospheric feelings that we'd like to sort of capture and explore and channel into music and lyrics, and yeah.
This being said, don't talk to Matt in the winter. He's not.
At least harvest season will be pretty good.
Yeah.
You come fall, in the first frost.
He's unavailable.
That's when we take a 4-month hiatus.
Hibernation begins.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks guys for the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.